Happy Halloween, everyone, and also happy first, week and a half of the NBA season at this point. You know, it's still real early in the season. Some teams have had a good start to the year, some teams haven't, but maybe the most unexpected good start to the season so far has been the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, and it hasn't even really been Embiid, he's been fine, but Tyrese Maxey is balling out like crazy, and shout out VJ Edgecomb, a great start to his rookie season.
Before we start talking about the Sixers, if you haven't already, make sure this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So last year for the 76ers went about as poorly as possible. They went all in, they signed Paul George to that massive 4-year, $211 million deal. Hope that the big three of PG, Maxey, and Embiid could maybe not get the Sixers to a championship or anything, but at least a conference finals, right? So we could stop seeing that, Drewski meme of him running away and, X happened before Embiid made a conference finals, right? Instead, PG regressed big time. Both Embiid and Paul George struggled mightily with injuries, and the Sixers crashed to a 24-58 record, one of, if not the most disappointing team in the NBA last year. Although they did get a little bit lucky in the 2025 NBA draft, moved up to the number 3 spot where they drafted VJ Edgecomb out of Baylor. I'm still a bit annoyed that our system allows a team like the Sixers to just jump up and get a top 3 pick. Because they had a bad year with injuries, but that's the system we got. And Edgecomb, he was a former 5-star recruit who attended Baylor, and despite the Bears disappointing a little bit, they went only 20-15, went out in the second round of the NCAA tournament. He had a fantastic year at Baylor.
Yeah, he started all 33 games he played in, averaged 15 points, and he was consistently praised by Scott Drew for his defensive intensity and his work ethic. He also drew praise from Buddy Hield and Eric Gordon for his play last summer for the Bahamas national team during the 2024 Olympic qualifying tournament. So definitely a solid pick. He looked like a guy with a ton of upside, like a two-way guard wing type player, and that's what the 76ers really needed to pair with Maxey, pair with Embiid after, Paul George had been so disappointing.
I was going to say, that's what they thought they got in Paul George.
Exactly. And he looked really good in his Summer League debut, but neither of us were expecting much from this 76ers team. You were pretty, pessimistic about them.
I completely wrote them off.
Yeah, I was like, it couldn't be worse than last year. But one of the things we were most looking forward to just had to be the throwback jerseys. I'm loving some of the throwbacks we're seeing this year. The Timberwolves going back to their old KG era. Maybe my favorite jerseys of all time of any team. I just love those old Timberwolves jerseys. But these 76ers ones, the Allen Iverson era, the black, it just looks so good. It's perfect.
This was the thing I was most excited for the Sixers new season. Might just be me personally. Let me know what you think about it. I think the Sixers normal branding and uniforms are some of the worst in the NBA.
I hate it.
They're just so boring, and right. I know they're a throwback to the 60s or whatever, and I'm sure their own fans like them, but just to me, they're just so boring and basic, and there's not much to them. But these jerseys from the Iverson era, and maybe it's just because they're the jerseys that they were wearing when we started watching, but wow, they look good. And honestly, I think they look even better than they did back in the day. I think it's the matte black finish on them rather than the shiny finish. Plus, I think they're properly sized now. I've never been a big fan of the oversized NBA jersey look. That's just me. Also, the retro Nike logo wasn't on the originals, but it just looks right at home on these ones. Plus, they got the court to match it. So excited for these going forward. I was this is going to be the best thing about the Sixers season. But a funny thing has happened. They're 4-0 so far to start this year and on top of the Eastern Conference. And if I had to poo-poo their start a little bit, they beat the Celtics, the Hornets, the Magic, and the Wizards at the time of recording. And funnily enough, the Hornets are the best of that group. So, not exactly a murderer's row, but still, 4-0 is 4-0.
Yeah, we got to acknowledge it. You start the season on the road in Boston, and you're trailing by 11 going into the fourth quarter, but you mount a comeback led by Edgecombe and Maxey, and you pull off the win after Peyton Pritchard missed a baseline jumper. And really, Edgecombe just stole the show and was one of the main storylines of that opening Wednesday night. I mean, it gives you 34 points, 7 rebounds, over 50% shooting. It was the third most points ever by a rookie in a debut game, and really, I was just so shocked by his confidence. like
Yeah.
immediately the first quarter, dude's driving to the rim attacking. He's getting to the foul line.
No fear whatsoever.
Yeah, he's stepping into three-point jumpers, taking them confidently. It almost kind of reminded me of the way like a young Dame came in, where Dame like immediately that first Lakers game had no fear in his eyes, but Dame was a 4-year college guy. Like you kind of expect that. For a guard to be doing this, a one and done, extremely impressive.
Yeah, and Maxey was even better. He dropped 40 points, 6 assists, and the Sixers start the year with a win despite Embiid only scoring 4 points on 1 of 9 shooting. And yeah, Boston's not the same as they've been in prior years, but they still got Jaylen Brown with his receding hairline. They still got Peyton Pritchard. They still got Derek White. They got Ant now, and they're a well-coached team. So, beating them on the road, that's a solid win. Follow that up with a home win against the Hornets, again trailed by double digits heading into the fourth, but they outscored Charlotte by 14 in the fourth to win by 4. Embiid this time was much better. He scored 20 points on 7-11 shooting, although he's still under that minutes restriction of just 20 minutes. Maxey gives you 28. Quentin Grimes chips in 24 off the bench, and Edgecombe and Kelly Oubre both scoring double digits. They then beat the Magic, pick up their 3rd straight win to start the year, with Maxey and Edgecombe again going off. Maxey gives you 43. Edgecombe pours in 26, and Kelly Oubre gives you 25. And then on Tuesday night, they just had a crazy comeback against the Wizards. Like, they looked completely down and out of it. They were down 16 with 9:14 to go and down 10 with 3 minutes to go. But they closed regulation on a 12-2 run, send the game to overtime, and prevail thanks to some clutch offensive and defensive plays from Adembona. Maxey again goes nuts. He gives you 39 points. Embiid has 25 points in only 23 minutes. Quentin Grimes 23 off the bench. And VJ Edgecomb struggles a little bit shooting, but still gives you 14. Again, schedule's been light, but if you're a Sixers fan, like, you gotta be encouraged, right?
I mean, specifically your rookie, VJ Edgecomb, already looking like a star.
He looks great.
Dude is already balling out at 20 years old. He's averaging 22.5 points a game, almost 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, like everything you want in a 2-guard right next to Maxey. He's an incredible athlete. He can drive to the rim. He can get up for sure. He's a great defender, high motor, plays hard on both ends. And probably the most impressive thing for him was one of his biggest question marks. Dude is shooting the lights out so far this season. He's shooting 43% basically on 7 attempts per game, which is way better than what he was doing at Baylor. I know I heard on like the 76ers broadcast, they were talking about how he was working with coaches a ton leading up to the season on his 3-point shot.
Paid off.
And goddamn, like just shooting the lights out like crazy. And then his other like supposed weakness going into the NBA was his playmaking. But the dude's been a pretty solid playmaker out there. Like he's not, racking up the assists, but like in that game against Boston, watching that back, like there were a couple times, again, confidently just making the right play, making the right pass, finding his teammates. So any like question marks you had about this guy going into his rookie season, they've all been answered. He is absolutely balling out.
Yeah, he's averaging like almost double the amount of assists per game than he did at Baylor.
That's crazy.
He's looking great so far. And like, yeah, again, the competition has not been bad. We're going to keep harping on it. But most rookies, even ones that go on to become like all-time greats, struggle a little bit out the stretch. Like everyone loves to talk about LeBron's debut, which is great. It's one of the best of all time. But people forget that his 3rd and 4th games of his rookie season, he scored 8 and 7 points on 3 of 12 shooting and 3 of 11 shooting. Like Luka's debut, 10 points on 5 of 16 shooting. Edgecombe so far hasn't really had that like adjustment period. And you know what? Maybe he will. I mean, he struggled a little bit against the Wizards. And once teams get more footage on him, once they figure him out, they'll adjust to him a little bit more. But so far, he has been fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, how about Tyrese Maxey, man? He has been looking like a superstar. Like at the time of this recording, he's leading the NBA in scoring per game, 37.5 points, 8.5 assists per game to go with that. And I mean, numbers like that might be a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, with Embiid limited by that minutes restriction, it's given Maxey the opportunity to be the primary offensive threat for the Sixers, and he is seizing it. And maybe I'm just oblivious. Like, I didn't realize how young Maxey still is. I mean, he's only 24. Now, to be fair, he turns 25 in like a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
But he's just now entering what is like traditionally thought of as like a player's prime, right? It's like the 24, 25 to like 31, 32, right? Is what most people think. So he's still got a bunch of years left, hopefully playing at this level. And, the Sixers still do have some concern. Like we've mentioned it a bunch of times already. Schedule's been bad so far, and they haven't exactly been convincing against that schedule either. I mean, 3 of their 4 wins have been by 5 points or less. And also in 3 of their 4 wins, they needed to rally from a double-digit deficit in the 4th quarter. Also, their offense has been phenomenal. It's ranked number 1 in offensive rating at the time of this recording. The defense is bottom 5 though. So, they've got some things to work on, but so far, it's been a great start for the Sixers.
And with this incredible start, the young backcourt absolutely balling out. You have to question, like the obvious question that comes to your mind is like, what do they do with Embiid and Paul George moving forward. They're both aging, they're both injury prone, and they're both on massive contracts. Now Embiid, he's probably not going anywhere. It would be really hard to see him being traded somewhere. I don't see a team that's like looking to go all in for Embiid.
That's not what Boogie Cousins is telling me.
Yeah, exactly. Because Boogie Cousins out here basically the same as Shams. Like number one NBA source, Boogie Cousins.
Right.
Yeah, his contract is basically untradeable, and then his injury concerns and everything makes him even more untradeable. I don't see any team trading for him. And outside of the first game against Boston, like he's been solid. You can tell he's like holding back a bit. Like on defense, he's not necessarily flying at people trying to get like crazy blocks. On offense, he's sometimes settling for jumpers, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Like that's probably the smart way to do it, just to avoid the injuries.
Yeah, the Sixers are holding him back too.
Yeah, minutes restriction. He's not playing back-to-back games. So I'm curious to see like come playoff time, if he's healthy, like how he's playing then when he's going full 100%. But overall, I think he's been fine to start the season. And you basically have to treat him like a guy like Kawhi. Like we were saying, like you have to hold him back. He's got to rest. He is one of the players in the NBA, as much as we might hate to see it, you have to load manage him because the dude is just so damn injury prone. So you kind of understand the situation there.
You kind of just have to say a prayer that he's healthy by playoff time, honestly.
Paul George is the more interesting one because they've had this insane start with Paul George not playing a single minute so far this season. And there's going to be, you know, pressure on the 76ers to play him, just given the contract and everything. Like, you can't really have a guy with that much money coming off the bench. The Blazers are kind of doing it.
I was just going to say we do.
And it's actually working for Portland, but I mean, that'd be the best case scenario if Paul George starts balling out like Jeremy Grant's been. But it's kind of tough to see where he fits in the lineup because Edgecombe's balling out. He's young. You got to start him. Jared McCain, another wing. Like, he was awesome last year. When he returns from injury, he's going to play. Quentin Grimes has been great off the bench. He's been in some of these like 3-guard lineups with Maxey and Edgecombe. You have Kelly Oubre's been pretty good. I mean, he could play at the 4. They started Dominic Barlow at first. Justin Edwards was starting the other night. Like, maybe he slots in there, but I also don't know if PG like at the 4, like with his age, I don't think that's the move.
I mean, he's done it a couple times throughout his career. I remember he did it a bit in Indiana in like the 2014-15 season. If memory serves, he hated it. So
I think that's true. Yeah.
And that was when he was young and athletic. So yeah. And going forward for the Sixers, I mean, they got Boston again tonight and then, you know, Brooklyn and Chicago. But then after that, the schedule ramps up a little bit. You know, you got Cleveland, pair of games against Detroit, and a home game against the Clippers. But still, man, I was looking at that schedule and just as a Blazer fan, like, life in the Eastern Conference doesn't look half bad. I mean, we started the year with fucking Minnesota, Golden State, the 2 LA teams. We get a day off with the Jazz, and it's right back to, you know, Denver, the Lakers, OKC. Meanwhile, these dudes get to play fucking the Wizards and the Nets a combined 8 times. I'm like, sign me up for that, please.
I mean, that's one of the things, if you're like a 76ers hater out there, they might start super good, but take a look at like that late December, early January.
Yeah, it ramps up a little bit there.
Yeah, it'll ramp up. So we'll have to see like if they can get this good start and then maintain it after that.
I mean, hell, they don't even play us until like February and March, right?
So
and that's 2 L's right there.
That's 2 L's. So, you know, be patient here. They might fall off. But so far, I'd be optimistic as a Sixers fan because, you know, you're doing this without Embiid playing at an MVP level or even an all-star level. You're doing this without Paul George, which, you know, he was awful last season, but let's say Paul George comes back and he's like 75% of what he was for the Clippers.
He's Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, if he's Jeremy Grant, that's great. You get Jared McCain back. Like, they have potential if like some of these guys can play at the level they played at in the past. I'm not necessarily saying that's going to happen, but you got to be optimistic as a Philly fan so far, especially given how you started the season last year.
Yeah, I mean, that was the problem last year is they dug themselves that huge hole and then they had to like try to get out of it the entire season and they couldn't. And the fact they're getting off to a good start this year, it's great because now they can, you know, manage Embiid more throughout the season. In terms of like whether they could be like a contender even in the wide open East, gun to my head, I'd still probably say no. I just need to see more, right? It's been 4 games. I actually thought about making the title for this, like the 76ers look scary or something like that because it is Halloween, right? You know, spooky season, you know, tie in with that. And I was just like, they're not looking quite that good. If they had blown everyone out to start the year, maybe, but they are still barely squeaking by. But, I kind of agree with what you're saying. Like, considering, the start to last season and also the fact that Embiid is on the minutes restriction, Edgecombe, while he seemed like he was going to be a great prospect, was still a rookie. You never know how they're going to respond. I mean, hell, Cooper Flagg's struggling quite a bit, and everyone thought he was going to be like, a slam dunk home run. So, considering all the uncertainty this team had coming into the year, you can't ask for a much better start if you're a Sixers fan. That's the video, guys. What do you think of the Sixers so far? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.